are live. Is it episode 123?
I feel like it's 124.
Oof, okay.
It could be 123 or it can be 124, whatever you guys think it is. It is.
Yeah, because if it is 124, then I have made a mistake in yesterday or on Monday's movie news Monday.
Which, by the way, if you haven't seen yet, it is up and running this past Monday. Adam delivers great news, so please check it out if you haven't yet, and then stay excited for it because we got TV Inquiry coming tomorrow.
Ignore the end credits to Movie News Monday because it is incorrect.
It
is incorrect. Do not go and check that. So I put at the end of Movie News Monday that I will return in basically episode whatever of the podcast, and I put 123, and that episode is already out. So this is episode 124. Welcome back to the Our Religion podcast, everybody. This is episode 124, season 3. I think it's like episode 11 now in season 3.
Really? We're 11 episodes in?
Yeah, I mean, we've been with the double uploads. We've definitely done more, but with
that's impressive.
If we were only doing an episode a week, it'd only be like episode 6.
Right.
So, but welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content we've been putting out. We put the Flash out a little late just because our schedules were just completely horrible leading into this weekend, but we wanted to get it out. So go check that out. A blown open spoiler review immediately, thoughts out of the theater. So check that out. Check out episode 123. Check out Movie News Monday, where I talked a little bit about Tom Holland opening up about how he views Spider-Man 4. Also, Carrie Fisher's final role in a film. We opened up talked about that a little bit as well, and where the Flash kind of is sitting with the box office. We're gonna dive deeper into it than what I did on there. That was a preview into this episode. But yeah, it's just like great episode there. And yeah,
very well said. And also, happy first day of summer, you guys. We've made it this far.
Yep.
Damn.
It is.
Personally, I feel like, and my roommate Brian had mentioned this earlier. He said he feels like he was robbed of a couple days due to the San Diego overcast that we were having for the past couple weeks. Today was beautiful, though. It was sunny, clear, blue skies. The waves are waving, and I couldn't have asked. The weather was perfect. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold. It was right in the middle. And hopefully we continue to have days like these. And yeah, I'm excited for how the rest of summer turns out. Hopefully it's a nice, hot one. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited for the sun to be back at its regular programming. I was kind of over the overcast, at least for what's going on in my city. What about?
I hate the heat. So
you guys are also more inland too, so it's like I realized that when I first moved over there, I was like, oh my god, everything is like 10 times hotter.
Yeah, you guys are right by.
Why is everything so like annoying? And yeah, it sucks. You
get those cool breezes from the ocean. Which is why I like San Francisco, because it's just like I spent when I went to Oracle Park, the breeze was nice there in the middle of June. It was like
and crisp, right?
Yeah, like it's fresh. It's fresh. It's a breath of fresh air, literally. But yeah, I mean, we got an interesting episode. Obviously, we got some box office, and again, a little bit of more of how the Flash is doing. We got Kraven the Hunter. We're going to be talking about the trailer because it just sprung on all of us that it kind of just came out of nowhere. Marvel Studios has announced their presence at Comic-Con this year, and also Netflix's Tudum, which is their first annual like Comic-Con, I guess you can say. It's an event where they go and announce the biggest news and trailers. Kind of feels like everybody is doing their own like press conference now, where
Yeah,
obviously,
I mean, we got like things like D23, and then we have
right.
Comic Con, and then we have other events like
But even DC did one year where they did a bunch of announcements and haven't done anything. It's bigger in like the gaming world, the video game worlds, but I feel like we're gonna see it more. We're gonna have like TV show or not TV shows, but production companies roll out more of this. Is like as something like Netflix, is gonna probably do something more like this. Obviously, Marvel being owned by Disney, it's a lot easier for them to pop up at D23 or as it is to Comic Con. Unfortunately, you know they're just it's gonna take away from Comic Con, but I think it's just like I don't know. Marvel came back last year to Comic Con, and obviously they've announced what they're gonna do this year. But pretty interesting. But anyways, we're just gonna jump right into the box office because there's some stuff, some interesting numbers going on here.
yeah,
Now
I want to know exactly where the Flash stands.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and I'll read them off, and then we'll kind of just get into everything after that. So this is the box office for June 16th through the 18th. Coming in at number 5 is The Little Mermaid at $11.1 million. Coming in at number 4 is Transformers Rise of the Beast. Coming in at number 3 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Coming in at 2 in its opening box office weekend is Elemental with 29.6. And coming in at number 1 also in its opening box office weekend is The Flash with $55 million.
Wow,
Yeah.
low, right?
A lot lower than I feel like everybody was anticipating. The Flash did come in lower than people expected. It actually came in lower than what I believe Black Adam did, and even the original Aquaman didn't do too well.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. For Little Mermaid, though, that 11 million adds to its grand total. It's now sitting at $468 million. 255 of that being domestic and 212 of that being international. For Transformers, that additional 20 million adds to its grand total of 278 million, 104 of that being domestic and 174 of that being international. For Across the Spider-Verse, making 27 million, adds to its grand total of now 494 million, 285 of that being domestic and 209 of that being international. For Elemental, its opening box office weekend was $29.6 million. Since then, it is currently sitting at 50 million, 34 of that being domestic and 15 of that being international. For The Flash, in its $55 million opening box office, it is currently sitting at 135 million, 61 million of that being domestic, and 74 and a half million being its international box office. Any
Interesting.
Yeah. Outside of The Flash, anything else kind of surprising?
Well, Elemental, I did hear a couple of mixed reviews about. People are saying that the movie is better than what it's presented to be as the trailer is delivering. From my understanding, it is more of a cultural cultural appreciation where there is a block there when it comes to like immigrant families and things like that. Like metaphorically, it's what the movie's trying to be. But the trailer comes off kind of as in like a Romeo and Juliet star-crossed lovers where water and fire can't coexist together. And that is totally not the point. But I think that's how Disney sold it, and probably why people haven't really been talking too much about this movie. But it's saying that the animation is great as always. I mean, it's Pixar, so they always deliver. But it's like in that aspect, I feel like maybe that's why it's affecting its numbers and only coming in second place. I mean, it could go up depending on how The Flash does in its second week. It's really sad. I mean, it sucks, because there is kind of a competition, and honestly, people would prefer to see, I talked to my roommate about this too, Anthony. I was like, would you rather see The Flash or would you rather see Transformers, as a summer blockbuster? He goes, I would rather see Transformers because I know nothing about The Flash and nothing about its character is very appealing to me.
Mm-hmm.
That could is be the one of the biggest reasons why it's affecting his numbers, and also too with everything that has been happening with Ezra Miller and his character, I feel like people have been focused on not supporting the movie just because of everything that has happened, which sucks because in that retrospect, it also affects everybody else that was in terms of the
Yeah.
project, and not only just the production crew in it, but just like all the effort that was into it. Even though there are some scenes in it, that could have been better. So I've heard other stories where people are saying that it should have been delayed a little more, so that way the CGI was better.
Well, Andrew Muschietti actually defended that. He actually came on and said that was on purpose. Again, I don't know how true that is. That can just be like an easy like PR.
Like a
Like
cop out. It could
yeah,
just be like a
exactly. Like
cop
oh,
out
I
to
did that on purpose. And his excuse was because we're supposed to see it how wonky the world is from Barry's eyes. In terms of like with what your roommate Anthony said, I think he's like I feel like he's in the boat of like most people because like when you think of the summer, like how many Transformers films have been in the summer? Just about
Right.
all of them. I
Right.
think if not all of them. So whereas like you said, the Flash, not a lot of people don't know, and the Ezra Miller, controversy, but also too, it's just like the state of what the DCU is just like how do you expect people to care about this film if this is potentially the last time we're seeing any of these characters?
Exactly. And then also what did all the cameos mean, because people were, I mean, some people there's a couple of reports that were saying that some people that had cameos didn't even know that they had cameos in the movie.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, that's confusing." I don't remember, but if I'm in it, like, cool. But if I'm not, like, whatever. Like, they were like kind of just biased about it. I mean, we do obviously dig a little deeper with our reviews. We do talk about a couple things in the review released on Saturday. If you haven't checked it out, so check it out, see what your opinions are. But overall, I feel like I'm worried for the Flash. I don't think it's going to be in the top one by this upcoming weekend.
I think also
Um,
too, when you look at these box office numbers, they're all like pretty close. Like if you look at like some of the box office numbers we reported, a lot of it is closer to like The Little Mermaid, even sometimes less than 10 million. And you have a Marvel film or any other film like kind of just dominating the box office. But we're in the heart of summer, the summer season where it is just film after film after film.
right.
Um, because like yeah, with Flash, this honestly like it does feel like it's gonna get knocked down pretty generously in next week's box office. Obviously, we'll have to look at it. But when I see like something like Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse, like still hanging in there, making it like close to $30 million, and I think it's third week now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's its third week.
So it's just like, and, getting into it's gonna get into the $500 million by the next day, maybe the next 2 days, depending on how the market is. But still, it's just like still being able to just continuously, attract people like that. I don't see the Flash having that retention. And unfortunately, even Elemental, Transformers. Surprisingly, I keep seeing people posting TikToks about it, how much they're enjoying it, how much they're,
Yeah.
and it's just like again, I think that just goes back to the people would much rather see a Transformers film as opposed to something like the Flash. Because like I said, had I not watched the Flash TV show, it would have been very hard to keep up with this film.
I'm very glad you said that because I think we also mentioned on the review that it takes elements of the show and then also the Flashpoint Paradox, the animation that is available on HBO Max or Max for you, for those who have it. And don't get and I exactly right after I saw the movie, I saw the animation. I think it was right after we recorded the thing. It is verbatim what happens in the Flash without the major without the bigger players such as like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, even Superman, and as well as Bruce. Their version because it's Thomas Wayne,
Mhm.
who's the Batman, not Bruce Wayne, because Bruce Wayne dies and then the Joker becomes his mother. It's a whole crazy thing,
Yeah.
and it was even the Shazam kids are in it, and like Reverse Flash is in it, and just gives you more of a coerced, like fleshed out story that had it been applied and had there been an attraction with the DCEU, it would have worked magnificently.
Mm-hmm.
However, we don't get that. We just get elements of it, and clearly it's like the first, second, and third act are all very similar with the animation. So if you would rather much see the animation from its actually comic book perspective, like hard, I guess, check that out. And it's available on HBO Max. You're seeing the same movie. And that's something that I actually talked to one of my managers about, because he came up to me. He's like, "What'd you think of The Flash?" And I was like, have you seen the Flashpoint Paradox? He's like, "Yeah." Like, you saw the movie then. Because it's
Yeah.
the same thing, except
Well,
without.
yeah. I mean, it's loosely based off of the comic book Flashpoint or the comic storyline Flashpoint. And that's what kind of gets where it gets kind of hard, where it's just like if you've read the comic or you've seen, the animation or even seen the TV show, you more or less know the premise of what Barry Allen's going to be doing in the
Right.
movie. It's just like it's a little different. Whereas the TV show, that Barry Allen is the only Barry Allen in the show that exists in that Earth in the Flashpoint Paradox. And then even so, Reverse Flash being so present not only in the TV show but also in the comic book and in the animation film that you were referencing. It's just like, and he's non-existent in the film. So it's just like
Right.
I think it's a concerning 135 million in its opening box office weekend. It's currently projected that it will make less than Black Adam, which is
Yeah.
even more concerning considering
This is a better movie.
yeah, no, and it's miles ahead of what Black Adam is. It's just, again, people don't care enough. I think it's unfortunate too. I think it does also suffer from the summer season as well. If this had come out maybe, let's say, August, it does a lot better. Without a doubt. It's just like, because this film would have been in there longer. Obviously you have Blue Beetle, but then so that wouldn't have worked.
Realistically, this movie is going up against Transformers and Spider-Man this month. And
Even
then
it,
next month we have another juggernaut of Oppenheimer, Barbie, and then Mission Impossible.
you also
Mission
have
Impossible one, yeah. Mission Impossible trying to be, fighting for some screen time, because Tom Cruise is adamant of like having the best possible, screens available for his movie. And then we have Oppenheimer with the IMAX release that clearly everybody's really excited for. And then also we have the Greta Gerwig Barbie, that's competing same day release, So that's another thing that we're honestly, I'm really excited to see how it plays out next month.
also we have
Um,
Indiana Jones at the end of
and
this
Indiana
month.
Jones is Destiny,
Um,
even though some people have already, I mean, the early reviews, I feel like early reviews, whatever, at this point, when it comes to a movie, when it comes to an action movie, I feel like you really have to just like allow yourself to have fun with a movie like that.
yeah,
Some movies are not supposed to be taken seriously. Some movies are not trying to compete to be an Oscar worthy. Some movies are just another installment for fan service, for having a good time, and that's okay.
yeah,
Especially when it comes to Indiana Jones, the motherfucker. I'm sorry, he should have been retired.
yeah,
But now he's finally retiring. And then we have this story, which I'm still going to go check out and see
yeah.
because it's Indiana Jones.
No, yeah, for sure. And I think that's kind of how it is. It's just like it's an Indiana Jones film. The name alone is what sells itself. So it's just like, people are going to be out to see that. New fans and older and original fans. I don't want to say older fans, but newer fans, fans who grew up with it. It's just like they're excited again. It's just like, and like as Harrison Ford said, it's just like this is the last time he sees himself playing this role.
Yeah,
So it's just like if this is the send off everybody wants to see him, perform as or be Indy one last time. It's just like it's there's nostalgia to it, which is gonna draw us out to the theaters. So I'm excited for that. But again, to just kind of circle back to the Flash again, it's just like it's an uphill battle. It's just like I can see it struggling to honestly kind of get 400 million. I think it's gonna clear 300, no problem. But 400, I feel like it's gonna be a
Like
fight.
wishful thinking.
Yeah, that is very, very wishful thinking. Who knows though? Stranger things have happened. Thing could pick up. It's just like people may go out to see it again. Some people are late to film, especially in the summer season. Everybody's busy. So it's
Yeah.
just like, and maybe this was just one of those weekends where it's like, oh, I can put that off till next weekend.
And then also too, with obviously streaming, a lot of people now are just waiting for it to hit a streaming service device, and then the talk begins. Uh,
That's a good point.
what lacks in numbers now will benefit in point in streaming like in streaming numbers later. You
No,
know,
100%. Because like when you think about it, like Fast X goes and makes 600 million at the box office, and then releases 2 weeks later after it on streaming services. So
yeah,
it's just like there's always that can always happen. However, obviously Fast is more established than what the Flash the DCU is. So yeah, but
right, yeah. I mean, we also another example is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse upon its first release. It didn't make as much in its
yeah,
original release, but then once it hit streaming services, they had its flowers.
yeah,
It received the love that it needed, and even though it didn't make the numbers for it, it did gain the popularity to obviously get a sequel, but also to get fans to have to go see it
yeah,
and be excited for it. So
and it's
who
making the
knows? We'll
money
see
it
if Barry
deserves.
Allen survives. Hopefully, I mean, granted aside, we have said separate the art from the artist.
Yes.
But overall, it is the bigger picture here too. It's not just about Ezra Miller. There are, people that put their heart and soul in production companies like these. And, at the end of the day, it is more of a studio fault because they wipe clean. Some diehard fans may have just been lost because of that, and don't want to support the film because of those reasons. Or they just don't like the interpretation of their Barry Allen,
Yeah.
you know? Um,
100%.
But yeah, I mean, that's all I can really say about the numbers. We'll see how it goes. I'm more excited to see how next week goes.
Yeah.
I see him drop into like maybe third or fourth place.
It's a possibility. It's a possibility. I wouldn't be surprised if Across the Spider Verse moves back up into like two or one, the number 1 or 2 spot. I wouldn't be. It's just like it's staying in there. It's fighting, and people are enjoying it. Um, by any chance, did you watch the Craven the Hunter trailer?
I sure did.
Okay.
And it was crazy how much information we got in a 2 hour and like what 17-20 second trailer.
Yeah.
Uh it obviously told us a whole story, and this is kind of news to me because I only know the superficial about Craven, and obviously I just know him that he's a Spidey fan. I mean, that he's a Spidey villain.
Yeah.
But like, um,
So,
if you put aside, if you take the fact that he's a Spider-Man villain, this could be this is a nice premise to a movie.
mhm.
But the fact that he is a villain in a Spider-Man universe, and it's almost as Sony is like, oh, hey, look, we'll show you some spiders and some scenes because he's related, right? Like
Yeah.
that he's related, like he's the villain, right? He's the villain, and it's kind of just like, hey, you're just gonna have to wait till the end to figure out if he's in it or not, or maybe Venom's in it, or we'll see. Um, and then I'm just kind of tired of that. Like I'm like, okay, dude, you're dragging me in, but are you giving me a good story? People were comparing it to Morbius.
Yeah. Um, it's so this is the problem I have with Sony. Man, I hate it because it's just like when Across the Spider Verse came out, it's like Sony knows what they're doing, and then they give us this trailer, and I'm just like, maybe they don't know what they're doing. Um, Maybe I spoke way too soon.
I think we just got too excited.
It's definitely a possibility. First things first. I hate the whole he gets his powers through the blood. Because we see that in the trailers, it infuses with the lion's blood. That is something that does happen in the comics, where he does try and give himself powers by drinking lion's blood. But to my knowledge, Kraven is just a really, really good hunter in the comics. He is just that damn good at what he does. I'm also tired of this anti-hero Spider-Man villain outside of Venom. Morbius is a straight up Spider-Man villain. Kraven is also a straight up Spider-Man villain. You need to start making them haters of Spider-Man. Just, it's just like Venom's in a weird spot because there are Spider-Man and Venom team-ups in the comics. So that's not out of the ordinary. But when you have somebody who is known for hunting Spider-Man, whether you're Morbius or Kraven, and the Vulture, who is in this Sony verse, Michael Keaton's Vulture, it's
Oh my god! And then now we're getting. Do you want to know why they call me Rhino?
yeah. So and that's the thing. So the cast. So here's the cast. Aaron Taylor Johnson is obviously playing Sergei Kravinoff, who is Kraven the Hunter. Russell Crowe is playing the father of Kraven. We got our Ariana DeBose. She's playing Calypso, which is a love interest of Kraven. And then we have Alexandro Nivola, who will be playing the Rhino. And that's another thing, too. The Rhino is less traditional Rhino, where he injects himself with a fuse, like a serum that turns him into the Rhino. A real-life Rhino as opposed to a mechanized suit or just a very powered suit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care enough about this movie, but I'm going to be seeing it.
I'm gonna be seeing it for Aaron Taylor Johnson. I know no matter what role he's in, he delivers
That's
very
true.
well.
It's true.
I know he's gonna sell, Craven as much as his abilities. Now, don't get me wrong. When I was watching him in this trailer, I was like, why am I still getting aspects of like Tangerine from Bullet Train in his portrayal of Craven?
Mm-hmm.
I may be wrong. We'll see exactly. This is just a trailer, but that's what I was getting. Immediately, I was like, Tangerine, because I mean, that's the last time I saw him.
Yeah.
And he left me with such an impact. I loved him. Apparently people don't know what Russell Crowe's doing with his accent. I feel like also heard that Aaron Taylor Johnson should have an accent, and the whole thing about weakness and strength being a key player in terms of like his vengeance towards his father. I mean, I sort of get it, but it's still not buying it. I wouldn't like. I'm getting sold, but I'm like, just like, okay, I'll pass on.
They give us a lot in terms of like Kraven's backstory on how he gets his powers and what he's gonna be doing, but there's not a lot of backstory on like what he's actually like hunting. All we know is that he is a hunter, but he has to have someone that he's hunting. Possibly Calypso. And then from there it kind of ends, and I
thought he was just hunting his dad, because I felt like this is just a revenge. From the way the trailer set it up, it felt like a revenge story because his dad left him to die after he got attacked by the lion, and he's like, oh, he's weak, so just leave him be, and he grew up, and then he has this whole relationship with his brother who is like, you're just like him. You're more alike than you think. You're not any different.
Yeah.
I don't know. The director is J.C. Chandor, for those asking. And he is known for a couple movies. I mean, he mostly produced, but not really much. I mean, All Is Lost. He also have Triple Frontier. He's directed 8 movies. Viper Club, Monas. The Con is on. I mean, these are not so well-known projects.
Yeah.
From my understanding, I don't think I've seen any of these. Maybe Triple Frontier. That sounds and then A Most Violent Year in 2014. That sounds very familiar too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I watched it. Yeah, Jessica Chastain. Yeah.
For some writing credits.
And then that's. In that realm. Look, I will give this movie a chance.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
I'm gonna give this movie a chance.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to because, it's just like There's obviously going to be a post-credit scene that sets up something. I'm going to assume that this film isn't going to give us much of anything like in the actual film, in the actual chunk of the actual film that we go to watch. But I feel like the after credit scene is going to be something similar to Morbius, where it is the connection into the Spider-Verse, or the Sony's Spider-Man verse of spider villains of something. I forget what they officially labeled it. But I don't expect much from it. The
Yeah, I
trailer,
mean, I mean, I could probably think of like a Venom crossover.
maybe down the road.
It'd be interesting if Craven shows up in Venom and him being, he's hunting
Yeah.
Venom for whatever reason. Um,
I would much prefer the trailer to be bad and the movie be good than vice versa.
right.
And
Yeah.
I feel like we always mention this when a trailer is bad. Is that because like one of my biggest letdowns is the Rise of Skywalker. Every time I get a bad trailer, I'm kind of excited, a little more excited than what I would be is if I had an actual good trailer. Because when you get a good trailer, I get very, very skeptical in terms of they gave me everything that I wanted to see in the trailer. The film might underdeliver, like the Rise of Skywalker. I have some
PTSD,
yes, I
basically,
have some
just like
trust issues when it comes to trailers being good. Unless it's like undoubtedly like I needed to give it its respect, like Endgame or Infinity War, or like No Way Home, something like that. You kind of know, like, okay, more or less it's probably gonna be good.
right.
It's got its reputation. Sony, on the other hand, does not have its reputation for the film, for Spider-Man villains outside of Venom. Well, I would say even outside of the first Venom. So, but yeah,
Oh man, we'll see how it goes because who knows at this point.
it's slated for October. So, well,
I, I,
yeah, it's slated for October this year. They didn't give us the official release date; it just said October of 2023. But yeah,
So Marvel
yeah,
decides to skip out on Comic-Con.
yeah. So I have the article here for you. The
Thank you. I'm
wrap.com.
so curious, but oh man, it's just I'm guessing just because all the delays.
So a little bit has to do with that. I don't know how true that is, though, So Humberto Gonzalez from the wrap.com wrote with the headline, Marvel Studios to skip Comic-Con's Hall H this year, but in tinier text saying the studio will have a presence on the convention floor. I love that he went straight for it. He's just like, yep, let me go ahead and grab the people's attention, saying that Marvel is not going to be in Hall H, but they are going to have a small presence in a smaller text, kind of like a subtext, where it's like if you blink, you'll miss it kind of stuff.
Interesting.
He went on to write, after making a big splash at Comic-Con 2022, which is true, depending on who you ask. It felt like last year was just a bunch of titles with a little bit of footage. I mean, still exciting stuff. Marvel Studios will skip H Hall this year. The Wrap has exclusively learned. Marvel will, however, have a presence on the convention floor. The studio, which has always given convention goers flashy first looks at upcoming movies and TV shows, currently has multiple productions on pause due to the ongoing writer's strike. The productions currently paused include Blade, The Thunderbolts, Daredevil, and Wonder Man. Let's see. The writer's strike, alongside a potential strike by SAG-AFTRA, is making it tough for studios to show up to annual conventions without products and performers to promote their products. If SAG is unable to reach a deal on a new labor contract and orders a strike, actors would not be able to do any promotional work for their films and TV shows as part of the labor stoppage.
Wow.
Marvel Studios isn't the only one skipping the annual Geek Fest, as the Wrap is also learning that Universal and HBO are possibly sitting out as well. So this isn't just Marvel. This isn't just a Marvel thing, which is pretty interesting to hear. What are your thoughts on this, Miguel?
The writer's strike is the culprit.
Is it though? Is it kind of like a fake out? Because you could still like Kevin Feige could ultimately still show up without any actors and
But
actresses or
but
producers
I
and
mean, in
still show.
retrospect, though, with the delays and everything, what exactly are they gonna demonstrate? Just everything that we already know up until now. They still haven't figured out their cast for Fantastic Four, and that's I think one of the bigger news that we're looking forward to.
I don't think they would have
Recently
done
too,
that
with
at Comic Con though. I feel
they
like
wouldn't release that.
That's a D23. Uh,
But I mean, think about it though, because this is going to be more of a phase. D23 is barely establishing itself to be, the future of like presentations. But Comic Con has
that's
always been like the staple of like, hey, at Comic Con, Hall H, actors are there. That legacy, if that makes sense. Because they're like, hey, this is your team. We're announcing them now. That's how I would see it. That's how I thought it was going to happen. They were just going to announce it at Comic Con. I even thought they were going to announce it last year, but they didn't. You know,
I think they're just
but
still waiting. Um, I think in the terms of like D23, it's new for like Marvel to do their big announcements there in Star Wars. That's always been at like Comic Con stuff. Obviously, Marvel made H Hall infamous. Like you said, people who refer to Comic Con as like, yeah, I went to it before Hollywood took over.
right,
Where it's like you
yeah,
can get same day tickets. Now you have to register to get the chance to even purchase a ticket. It's a lot different. Obviously now, I
yeah.
mean,
The year prior to that's even without knowing what's going to be showing up,
yeah.
just in case if Marvel shows up, you at least have a ticket. You at least have a guarantee in. And then don't get me started either. Like you can have a badge, doesn't mean you're gonna get into Hall H. There are people camping out,
Yeah.
like you can be as dedicated, but it is a whole 4 day event. I mean, obviously the Thursday is the opening day, but the events really start rolling out by Friday into Sunday. You got people there camping out since Tuesday.
I had a buddy who I had dinner with last night. Oh, I had a couple of buddies, but he was talking to me about Comic Con. He's like, "Hey, I'm trying to do Comic Con this year." I was like, "Okay, are you trying to do Hall H?" And he's like, "Oh, what's that?" I was like, "Oh, well, that's the big press conference room." I was like, "That's where everybody announces their stuff." He's like, "Oh, well, yeah." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Get ready to lose a day at Comic Con, depending on whatever day you want to go." Uh,
Perfectly said. Yeah.
he's like, "Really?" I was just like, "Yeah." I was just like, good luck. If you just want to go for the environment, 100% go check it out. There are other smaller panels that you can get into, no problem. I sat on a couple, such as like the John Wick, which is cool for them to have the writers of a book, talk about the impact that John Wick had. It's just like overall Comic Con is cool. Hey, I'm just saying though, I can see ticket prices taking a dump now with all these studios not being
Yeah.
100% in on this, so it's like,
Yeah.
hey, if they are, I
We
may
could
show up
possibly
at a
even
cheaper
have
price.
like a renaissance of Comic Con where it's like going back to its roots, Hollywood out, no longer this, getting kind of back to the what it used to be, which is, comic books out of, comic books and their creations and everything like that, diehard fans, people that are pushing for their rights to make either fan films and stuff like that. Like, that's cool. More community based as opposed to being more Hollywood based.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a really good way to put it, just like it was before. Because it's like at the end of the day, like, it's just like at some point, I'm going to have to assume Marvel's going to completely just pull out from Hall H entirely altogether. Like, they're
Yeah.
just not going to promote anything there.
And
Um,
stick to D23.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they're owned by it. It'd be a lot cheaper and a lot more. It would bring so much more exclusivity to D23 in all honesty, Disney can just profit off of. It's just like raising prices. Oh, you want to come to see, you want to come to just see Marvel? Hey, here's $200 just to sit on the Marvel presentation of D23. I can see Disney doing that. That's a very Disney thing to do. They're probably just gonna be listening to this podcast like, hey, these guys just gave us an idea.
Oh, we just
Yeah.
gave them, we're going to raise prices. Yeah.
No, and
Yeah. We know you guys are infamous for that. Come on. Disneyland has not been accessible to me because y'all keep raising prices. It's disgusting.
it's funny because they make it cheap, then they make it expensive. Because they just brought the summer pass where you can get
Yeah.
the 4 days for like 280 bucks.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest with you though. Like, you don't go into Disneyland and this I may but this is my mentality. yes, okay, 4 days, right? You get 4 days,
Hmm.
$200, right? For the 4 days, that's a pretty good price considering usually it's like $250 for 2 days, and that's a park hopper. Um, but for me, it's like you go in there, right? It's like $200, and you spend another 100, and you
Yeah.
spend another 100, and like that's food, that's like rides if you want to do some rides. Um, no, 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 not rides. I mean, like if you want to buy product things there, uh, if you want to experience like the things, it turns out to be like $1,000 I think for myself. I think it
No,
turned into a
$100%.
$1,000 visit.
Especially
Because they
because
get you. They get you. You go in there and you're like, oh, cool, that's that sweater. And then you go to Star Wars and I'm like, oh, why don't I have a freaking lightsaber? Build a lightsaber. And then like, oh crap, now I want to like a mini hat. I don't know. I mean, you just keep buying stuff and it's like ding, ding, ding,
that's
ding,
not
like,
including your stay.
and that's not including your
Because like for
stay.
someone like you're not going to drive home, every single day. Maybe if you do one day, you decide to
Yeah.
redeem one, like, oh, I'm going to come today and then I'm going to go back in a couple months and go, or in a couple weeks. It doesn't make sense, obviously, for you to stay. No, yeah, but it's just like but to circle back to like the Hall H, it's interesting to see that they're not going to be there. It makes sense, uh, considering they made another thing is just like what I was reading here in the article too, is the SAG contract is set to expire on June 30th, and that's 3 weeks before Comic-Con is set to take place. So that makes a lot more sense considering if a deal isn't reached, which I'm gonna be honest, it probably isn't going to be, considering the writer strike is full in effect right now. And I can see that trickling into that and having an effect on them not, wanting to reach a deal. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Again, like I said, if Feige really wanted to, he can show up and show footage himself. If he absolutely like really, really wanted to, who knows? Maybe they're just anticipating both of these contracts will be renewed by the time D23 is up, and they're like, hey, let's cut our losses with Hall H completely, and let's just prep for a big D23. I can see that being like the realistic move for Marvel.
I think he could, but the reality sets in, and it's just he's gonna come off like some CEO ass hat that's just like, oh, he doesn't care about the writers, and it just points out. I think it's more of like how it comes off, like from publicity.
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah, yes and
um,
no. I think
because
Feige is
it's like, but yeah, because he's the CEO, so he can like, yes, he can do what he wants to do, but then the writers are gonna just be like, this is the issue that we have, like you guys keep taking credit um for our ideas and slapping a studio on like a sticker on there and then calling it yours. It's no longer ours, it's yours, and then you still won't pay us enough. And I feel like that's where it comes off, where Feige is like smarter than that, and he's like, I can't do that,
yeah.
because hopefully Feige, I don't know the guy, but hopefully he's like not a corporate studio head that's like
He doesn't
only in for
seem
the money.
to. I mean, when you've been a part of Marvel since the first X-Men, I think that says a lot. Because he can go and have any job he wants, get probably paid just as much, and have a lot less work and a lot less on his plate, considering the resume that he now has. So it's just like, I think like with Feige, I think yeah, he is more of like he's about his employees as opposed to like just showing up and wanting to show. So I'm just saying, if he absolutely wanted to, he could. It's just like that. It's just like that. That's the reality of things. It's just like at the end of the day, he's there. He's gonna do what he needs to make the company the most money. But then, like you say, he does look bad if he does that. And maybe there's a little like you can like understand it because it is Feige, and it's just like, okay, when Feige opens his mouth about things with Marvel, you kind of shut up and listen. It's just like with his reputation, even with all the bad stuff, the last couple years in the MCU, I don't think the reputation is anywhere near taking a hit, considering at the end of the day, this dude gave us Endgame 4 years ago, or yeah, 4 years ago, Infinity War 5 years ago, it's just like, and really four, if you get rid of the pandemic year, it's just like everybody hits a dry spell. It takes time to rebuild something up that was once so great. So it's just like I think it's all right if Marvel's skipping out. I think it's just like D23 is where they're gonna be releasing a lot of stuff. if they're able to, you know.
Yeah, I mean, think of all the projects that are being held. It also kind of sucks because they've announced these projects so long ago, and it just feels like they're just starting them now.
Yeah, yeah,
And like, granted, I mean, I'm pretty sure I know it takes a long time to get something in production. The whole production can last longer than, up to 5 years. But you know, what the hell? How come you guys don't even have your cast yet?
it's hard.
Um,
It's hard losing a year in the pandemic, because without a doubt, Fantastic Four has been planned for quite some time. Rumor, like we said, we talked about it. Rumor is they want big names. They want big names attached to the Fantastic Four family, just because these are going to be the center of our Marvel Cinematic Universe. So if that's the case, and it makes sense, they want big names who are going to be willing to sign on into the MCU for multiple projects. It's just, at one point, do you have to sacrifice big names for longevity or for guaranteed numbered of projects?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
But
hard. That's a commitment. That's already like, can I do 10 years of this character?
yeah. But hey, let us know what you think of Marvel skipping out on H Hall, Comic Con's Hall H this year. Are you disappointed? Are you surprised? Are you kind of happy that they're missing out? Kind of, saying like, hey, it's going to make even next year that much more bigger. Because again, this isn't a common, or this isn't an uncommon thing for Marvel the last couple years. It's kind of like they take a year off, they come back, take a year off, they come back. So it's just like they haven't really been present in Hall H since I think like 2018. It hasn't been as consistent. But back then obviously they had obviously a much more concrete plan in what they were doing. We got
Of
one
course.
final topic.
Yeah. Another convention event that happens apparently now with Netflix. I still think this is kind of dumb, but it's fine, whatever. It's Netflix. I think uh but basically it is all the biggest news and trailers from Netflix Tudum.
Hmm.
What's become an annual tradition, Netflix is holding a live stream event called Tudum this year to show off some of its biggest upcoming shows, movies, and games. The streamer has already confirmed that some of its most anticipated projects will be making an appearance, including its live action take on One Piece, Three Body Problem, and Avatar The Last Airbender. On top of that, expect some more detail on The Witcher's upcoming third season, as well as other heavy hitters like Stranger Things, Bridgerton, and Wednesday, and probably a few more titles of Netflix fiddling gaming efforts. You can keep up with all the latest reviews with us. So, I mean, out of all these projects that were announced, do you have any excitement for some of them?
Yeah, but I don't think it's like for like the right. I don't want to say like right reason. Had this not been announced, I would have completely not cared about this event at all. I think just Linda Hamilton joining Stranger Things is very exciting, just because that's Sarah Connor. I love the Terminator franchise, so anything that her Arnold show up in, I'm there for it.
Yeah.
So other than that, I would not have cared. I have.
I think this is more, I mean, not to say it's more of a target audience, but I feel like it's for the people that love anime and want to see. I know for a fact, and this is actually coming from my nephew. I had a conversation with him. I was like, what do you think about, like studio heads trying to do a live action animation? Like, what do you think of those? He's like, well, it's similar to how comic books get adapted to movies, but from us, like, the anime is way better. It is a concrete, like, uh, book to screen adaptation completely. Like, everything gets included, nothing gets written like off.
Hmm.
But when it comes to live actions, that's when things fall off.
Yeah.
And that's when things get complicated. And then we have like the first Avatar movie, not the James Cameron one, but like that one, or
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z that
Yeah.
everybody hated.
Yeah.
That live action, and it just like fails miserably. So to have another like Avatar Last Airbender come out, it's kind of like it's scary because you just don't know if it's going to be good or not. Because a lot of people actually just want to have more of a continuation for the animation as opposed to seeing a live action.
I want
Because
to.
this is such a beloved series and it's been done so bad prior that it's just like we don't want to do that again. So I was more excited to see the teaser and the still shots of the characters. I still am weary, but I mean it looked good. Question mark. um, Other things, of course, Squid Game season 2. We didn't really get much on the show, but we did get like 4 new cast members joining the game. Um, I did see a controversial take saying that it was mostly male actors in the second season and not really many female actors. And some people were voicing out that some of the female characters carried more of the show in the first season than the male actors. But that is to debate. What do you think about that? I think everybody did a fantastic job overall. I think it just kind of seems kind of playful in the sense where people are just being like, well, women are better than men or whatever. But whatever, take your great. I'm taking that with a grain of salt, but I'm just seeing too exactly how that will affect the narrative because where we leave Squid Games is him going back to try to
So
defend.
I've never seen Squid Games, so I am not. I can't give my opinion on this.
Yeah, and then I mean,
I
we
think
also have The Witcher season 3. Do
in
we know
terms
that?
of
Huh?
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but in terms of like the Squid Games, I mean again, if the female cast did carry the first season, then 100% push them for the season for season 2. You know, if they're the most fleshed out. Obviously, I guess then take that's taking it with a grain of salt too, because if you want to flesh out, your male characters who were standout highlights, then yeah, do that as well. Like I guess it's just like you're not gonna please everybody. I think that's the biggest thing.
Right.
Um, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
Sorry, you were saying with
most of this it's just kind of like behind the scenes.
yeah, that's the biggest thing. It doesn't feel
It
like it was much.
Yeah, it just like it just gives you like a bunch of things. It gives you it's like when Netflix goes on YouTube or uploads on YouTube, it's like this month on Netflix.
Yeah.
That's what this feels
Felt
like.
like it was a live press conference of this.
Exactly. And so there's just so much. I mean, obviously for those who are excited, I and correct me if I'm wrong, but like Netflix is not my number one streaming service. I spend more time on either Hulu or HBO Max than I do on Netflix.
Hmm.
But I still have it just to have it.
There's stuff on Netflix.
And it's only whenever like shows such as Squid Games or like Stranger Things obviously get like thrown out there, or like for me it was originally Sense8.
Yeah.
Projects like those that were like mind-blowing and have like big production values
Yeah.
uh had me wrapped. They had me there, they had me tuned in
And then go and
and
get canceled.
streaming, and then they go and get canceled. So
And
that's another
that's
that
yeah.
that's one of the things. I think this is just a strategy right now with Netflix. This
Yeah, but
feels more
it's just
of like,
like
hey, we actually have stuff going on, we just haven't told you, and this is what's going on.
kind of because like in the sense of like Netflix, it's just like it's hard to get attached to films or sorry TV shows that they're doing because
Projects.
like people felt Orange is the New Black canceled early, Sabrina canceled early, Sense8 canceled early, so it's just like it's not a common thing. Even it's called End of the Effing World. That was done after one season. uh Dash and Lily, which has a second book, I believe, canceled after one season. So there is no short fuse in Netflix just being, no, we're not doing this anymore. We want to do something new. It's weird because like with The Witcher, this is Henry Cavill's last season as The Witcher, and it's just like, how do you continue after that?
Yeah,
Considering
and especially when he did such a good job as Gerald the Grindelwald or whatever. I don't know, his name was Gerald or Gerald
mhm.
Riviera or something like that. He embodied that character very, very well,
People very
such as he
pleased, yeah,
did with, Clark Kent Superman, right? I think Liam Hemsworth has really big shoes to fill in,
yeah.
and
People aren't gonna like it. That's just the truth.
Good luck,
It's
man.
not.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be well received because if you see that show, it's very well grounded.
Yeah, it's not his fault either. It's just placement
And
of you having the shoes to fill. Shoes, it's simple as that. Shoes to fill. You
and
know.
it sucks when you know that he left the show to be in the DCU again and be Superman, and then
Yeah.
that failed.
Yeah.
Like where does that leave you as an actor? Where exactly? Like that just sucks. I feel like Matt. I feel like he just been getting the short end of the stick
That's the frustrating part of all of it. Is
because he has so much talent.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And he's a good man. At least he seems like it, you know. He's very to himself, loves PC gaming, you know. It's just like
Yeah, he does.
he's very to himself when it comes
He's
to
probably playing Diablo 4 right now and being like,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I could be this character.
Probably.
You know?
No, yeah. But again, Tudum didn't seem like it was much. It's its first time. You can't expect much. I think if they do it next year, then for sure it may be a bigger thing, maybe more thought out, and hey,
Yeah, I mean, it says a global fan event. It's like, really?
didn't feel global.
Didn't really feel
There was
community
no
based.
advertisement on it. Where was the advertisement on this? Unless you were on the Netflix app.
Literally 3 days ago, you guys can see it. It's live from Brazil, apparently, and it's 2 hours and 46 minutes long.
Yeah.
You can either skip all of that and just watch what you want because the trailers are out there. So just visit the Netflix YouTube channel and then go from there.
Yeah.
Or if you're more on the mobile side, then they're also on Twitter. This is not a paid partnership.
We're just giving you the facts.
We're just giving you the facts. Yeah.
Just giving you the facts, We're just reporting facts.
Pretty much.
Reporting facts here, live from the Our Real Addiction podcast.
Yes, sir. And on that note, that is episode 124 of Our Real Addiction.
Yeah. So we got TV Inquiry dropping tomorrow, huh?
Yeah.
Exciting. So check that out. What show are you tackling?
I am tackling, believe it or not, I am tackling two shows that are kind of both on opposite spectrums. The first one is actually going to be the 2009 Watchmen series that is on HBO Max, and it's actually a comic book adaptation.
The movie or the film?
Not the movie, but the series.
TV show, right? That one's newer though.
Not the television series. Like literally, it's the comic book and it's voiced over.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And I really want to give you my thoughts because it's really, really fun. And I think there's that. And there's going to be Class of '07, which is on Prime.
Okay.
So two different spectrums, but in a sense, I'm kind of giving you like my early thoughts where it feels as a series overall. Does it pass? Is it like a watch or pass, type of thing?
Yeah.
And, and then one final thoughts, I'm kind of structuring it that way, kind of making it fun, taking influence from a couple of channels that I've been looking, and I like the deconstructing of things for a show. I want to give you the facts without giving you a full synopsis. Well, giving you full spoilers, but just giving you shows. I'm giving you shows too that have been out. So
yeah.
Stay tuned. So please check it out. I hope you guys really like it.
Definitely.
We're working really hard on it. So
one last question. How long can you expect your episodes to be?
Not that long. I think I'm probably aiming for like 20 minutes. I'm not trying to speak so much because I also don't want to lose you either.
Perfect. So we have a 5 to 10 minute show in Movie News Monday. We have about a 20-minute show in TV Inquiry.
Yeah, because it's going to be like 5 to 10 minutes of one show and 5 to 10 minutes of the next, and then maybe like a quick brief of like between the two shows battled, which one do I pick? And I'll just tell you which one I preferred out of that week. So
interesting. Also too, I mentioned it last week. I got stuff I want to talk to you about in terms of other projects that we can do, other content that will help us not only cover movie news on the podcast and switching it back up where we have themed episodes. So stay tuned for that, because I got a couple in mind that I have to pitch to Miguel, which I know he's going to be excited for because of the ones that I have kind of already thought of in my head. We have one plan. I just don't know when to do it.
Literally, I think I'll say yes to anything you pitch me to.
It's gonna be fun because of the first one when we hung out in SD when we went to go see Scream. We won't say anything on that, but that would be that's a for sure. It's just
but that's a hint.
Planning when to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Planning when to do it. And then 2, I have just other content. But yeah, anyways, I know it's just like, oh, like just spill the beans. Be patient with us. Be patient with us.
Patience is the virtue. I mean, we're only 11 episodes in to the new season. We still got plenty more, guys. Yeah. So please stay tuned. Thank you so much. If you haven't yet, check out Movie News Monday. It did drop this Monday. And keep an eye out for TV Inquiry. We'll be dropping tomorrow. Happy first day of summer. And as always, I'm Miguel.
And I'm Adam.
And this was Our Real Addiction, episode 124, Sic Parvis Magna.
Sic Parvis Magna, everybody.